Okay, so now I'll start the recording. This is the MicroProfile Google Hangout for April 3rd, 2018. I have posted the meeting minute document into the chat so we can record our attendance and our conversation, and everybody is responsible or to be helpful to fill in the meeting minutes as we go along. So everyone can do what they need to. So what I had started to talk about was metrics. That someone had put a metrics item in there on the agenda, but it looks like Heiko can't make it because he has a cold, and I would guess Heiko put that in as the agenda. And then I just asked if anybody else had, if anyone else was going to cover the metrics item today.
I don't think so. I know this morning I was chatting with Heiko briefly online, and I think there's some, as he mentions there, some metrics changes he's currently testing, and I think what he's looking for is just an indication as to whether that new release should be part of 1.4 or something else.
Okay, so he said, he mentioned in this note in the agenda that JavaDoc improvements and some TCK fixes. I know in the past, TCK, we could do those in between our MicroProfile releases, but if he does have that ready, it definitely could be part of MicroProfile 1.4.
Right. Yeah, I don't think there's anything stopping him. As you say, you can do TCK releases separate, but I'm guessing if he's wanting to include some maybe JavaDoc improvements in the API, then maybe it's worth releasing the whole lot and adding it to 1.4.
Yeah. I know John's not on today, and I kind of posted back to that conversation on 1.4. I mean, to be honest, I'm still a little concerned about where we are at with the 1.4 release as far as getting the other items completed in time in order to be picked up. But we can go through that when we go through the rest of the items. And I
what's the potential release of 1.4?
Well, John had put out just a guess, but I think he said May 6th.
May 6th, okay. All right, thanks.
Was his hope, just to pull something out of the air. But then what I had replied with is that requires a lot of upfront work to be done during this month of April. And I don't know where the various components are, in response to that, whether or not they're ready to do that type of effort. I know one thing that he has, John's brought up a couple of times is JWT.next. And Ken, I don't know if you know the direction there, or maybe David, you were involved with the JWT stuff. Is there work being done there to look at the next version of JWT?
If there is, I'm not aware of the calls. If I was aware of the calls, I would attend.
I know Scott, I think, arranged a rather hasty last-minute call last Friday, because I think Arjan wasn't able to attend for that reason. But I have seen some traffic in the JWT issues and on the mailing list. So I think they're certainly doing stuff, but I don't know when they'd be in a position to do a release, like whether it could be part of 1.4 or whether it's going to be longer than that.
Just in case, David, they call us every Friday at 9, huh?
How long has that been on the calendar?
Let me see.
And 9 Pacific?
Last week. 9 Eastern.
Yeah, that's super early for...
Oh, that's right. You're on the West Coast. That'd be 6.
Yeah, they used to be at 7 a.m., which would be 10 Eastern. And I attended every single one of those that I could at 7 a.m. my time, but 6 a.m. is a little early.
Yeah. The other folks are in Europe, I think. Arjan Tims and Werner Kale. Yeah, 9 a.m. It's very early for you for sure.
So I guess I didn't follow. So Scott had a call last Friday. I mean, is he pushing for something? Do you know, or are we guessing what Scott came out of that call with?
Well, I think the fact that we're guessing would seem to indicate that it's not quite ready for release because we don't even know what's on the table to be discussed.
Yeah, unless there have been other discussions that were too early in the day for you. That's why I was wondering. I didn't know if Ken or anybody else. I have not been involved in those, in the JWT stuff, so I don't know. Okay. So we'll have to follow up on that. The other item on the agenda is that we do now have a new lead for the open tracing effort. Pavel Lafay, I don't know. He's from Red Hat. I have not met him. But he has been involved with the open tracing. Just to give everybody here a little bit of background, I did post it out to the forum. The previous lead of that effort was an IBMer, Steve Fonts, and he kind of did a sudden retirement on us. He gave us about a month's notice, and he ended up retiring from IBM. And so we were kind of scrambling to find out, should we be trying to find a replacement? And then I started talking with Heiko, and Heiko had suggested Pavel, that he was interested. And since he has been involved with the project and doing the implementation, I thought that made logical sense. We are going to replace Steven's participation on the open tracing team, but not the lead. So Pavel's going to be the lead. Any questions, discussion on that? So, Ken, you came off of mute. Were you going to tell me how to pronounce Pavel's last name?
Yeah, it's just Pavel Lafay.
Lafay. Okay.
To my understanding, I haven't met him in person, but that's my understanding of what his surname is pronounced as.
Okay, thank you. So, David, you looked surprised when you heard Steve retiring. Did you know Steve when you worked here?
No, I had never met Steve.
Oh, okay.
Surprise retiring is a surprise. I didn't know anything happened that quickly at IBM.
Oh, yeah, he what was it? He came in at the end of January and then gave his notice for the end of February, and it was a total surprise to everybody. So we did actually keep him on for 2 more weeks so that he could help out with
transition
the conference, but but other than that, okay. So there were no other documented items on the agenda. So if we go back up to the top, we normally try to get a very brief input status from each of the components. They're not real well represented here, but I don't think, well, let's just start here with config. Mark?
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not quite sure if I can make it shortish, but there was a discussion about to backport features from the config.jsr to MicroProfile config, which is totally fine, and we should absolutely do that. But we kind of started a feature in the config.jsr. This is the dynamic handling. So you can change something in the underlying config, for example, a database-backed config source, and you get actively notified about changes. And that's perfectly fine, but there are and we thought we nailed it down, but on the last meter, so to say, we figured that it's a little bit more tricky than we thought. And it is usually okay. The problem is when you kind of have a request which asks for a URL or a host name and a port. And in between asking for the host name, you have the config starts with server 1, port 1, and you change it to server 2, port 2. And in between, give me the host, give me the port, the underlying config changes. So you end up in your request with, oh, give me the port, server 1, give me the host, server 1, give me the port, port 2. So you have kind of a mixture between the old and the new config. And now we are thinking hard about how to ask for a set of atomic configuration values. And this is where we stand right now, and where we need some really good ideas. And we have a few good ideas, but we didn't nail them down yet to the config. So this is currently work in progress. And since I already moved or pulled over those changes from the config JSR to MicroProfile config, we need to solve this now in both. Or we kick out the feature from MicroProfile config again, but
I missed that last part, Mark.
So either we solve it, we have to solve it either in both, in the config JSR where we have much more time, or and roll back the changes I've applied in MicroProfile config, or we solve it properly and just push for it, like doing a 3 hours brainstorming hangout or whatever with whoever is interested, and gives us feedback. And we've solved this kind of in the power brainstorm hacking session, and then we can push forward. But this is currently blocking the next configuration, MicroProfile config release.
Okay, so it's really coming down to how long will this take to actually figure out the proper solution in MicroProfile, and would it be ready for, well, when would config, what are you up to now? Config 1.3?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. So when would that be available? And then you really don't have a deadline for the JSR, so that's okay if that moves out, right? So it's just a matter of how quickly does the team want to push to try and get config 1.3 available. Yeah,
but the point is that we try to keep MicroProfile config and the config JSR in sync, and have MicroProfile config as testing bed for the config JSR.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Okay, while I'm making a couple of notes there, do we have anyone on for fault tolerance? And health check. Metrics, we've already kind of been over that. Open tracing, we talked about that. Open API, I don't see anybody there. REST client. John's not on today. Okay, or Andy. We're a little light today. Istio working group. Who is heading that one up anyway? Is that Emily?
Emily's on vacation, I think.
Right. I just didn't know who was heading up the Istio working group. Okay. JWT, we just kind of discussed about that. We don't have an item here for the messaging or reactive, but I do see James on. So James, if you want to give us an update on that.
Is my mic working?
Yes, it is.
Good. So the main thing since the last hangout is we talked about creating an overall approach document with guidelines explaining kind of the reactive landscape for people that are unfamiliar with it and coming up with a set of best practices. So I drafted that document, and there's been a fair amount of feedback on it already. Posted it to the mailing list. So I'm not sure what the next steps are there. It's not particularly urgent, but yeah, if anybody wants to take a look at that and say it needs a lot of rework or it's good or whatever, I'm very keen to get more feedback on that. Do you want a link to that?
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Then I could
I'll just
wait in the minutes.
Paste it into the minutes. There, it should be in the minutes now.
Perfect. Okay, so I haven't looked at this document. Is this the idea that this was kind of like the first draft of a specification?
It's not so much a specification as a set of guiding principles for adopting reactive across MicroProfile, across all the specifications.
Okay.
So on the messaging proposal itself, not much has happened since the last meeting, but this this document is something that has been produced.
Okay.
So yeah, it talks about, you know, how do we use reactive streams? What's our approach for ensuring for how it should be offered, when to use completion stage versus use reactive streams and things like that.
Okay. Okay, any other components that I have missed? Anything? Okay, any other topics that anyone wanted to bring up?
I got one small thing. Last week I was asked to create a pull request to add the Lightbend logo to the website. So there's actually 2 pull requests for adding logos. There's also the hammock one, and that was created in December last year. So that's obviously going to conflict with mine. So if assuming that that's going to be approved, if somebody merges that, then I can update mine to not conflict, and then that can be merged as well.
Oh, I thought hammock was already on there.
It's already there, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
So maybe that pull request.
So that's a good segue for. Actually, hammock is not there.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a pull request for it.
Yeah. Boy, we need to add it. The
so before we get on that,
okay.
So Cesar, do you know the process for getting?
Right. So that's the question that's a good segue. Actually, a question for David. So last time I added the Oracle logo.
Okay.
So I follow the documented process in GitHub, right? And I follow all the steps. I tested it on my laptop. The Oracle logo appeared, and then I pushed it out to GitHub.
Mm-hmm.
I did a pull request and then a merge, and everything looked great. Okay, and I was just waiting for it to appear on the live website, and that never happened.
Okay.
And I reached out to Teresa was with you back then.
Sure.
This was a few months ago. And apparently there's an extra step that you guys have to do on the Amazon side.
Well, it's not.
Who is it then?
Yeah, so there is a deploy step that has to be done, and it's basically just a Beanstalk deploy in Amazon. It is documented, and I think we did a video of this, but I'm going to see if I could find that. But
Yeah, can you add that?
ideally, everybody has confidence to update the website. Access is there, so everything's set up in a dedicated AWS account that's got like MicroProfile in the name, and there's probably like 6 or 7 people, including Mike Croft and somebody from each company who has admin on that account. So I think what we're lacking is an awareness,
Right.
rather than actual access.
Right.
And so I think what we need to do is figure out how to get that awareness. So we hit one point scheduled like a call where everyone got together and they learned all the stuff. If we need to keep doing that, then I think we need to keep doing that.
Right. So could I ask you a favor? Could you put the links to that video that you mentioned and the links to that extra step?
Let me try and find it.
The minutes.
Ideally, the links should be in a wiki on the Git repo or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't. Well, last time I did
this.
this.
If it's not, it should be. Like I just say, ideal.
Right.
Let me follow up on this.
At any rate, so that last step was done by you guys, and if it's documented, I didn't find it. So what else? There's another
AWS account.
Right. So there's another question. Then I don't know if it's a good point for me to discuss the latest marketing stuff.
Yeah, no one else spoke up for items. Go ahead.
Okay. So let's see. So the latest about marketing, there is a white paper that has been commissioned to Lars. I can't pronounce his last name. He is
Rowan Kemp.
Thank you. So he's going to so he's on vacation right now, but he's going to put together a draft. There was an outline that we put together, was shared with him, and he's going to take a stab at a first draft by the time he comes back from vacation. So it's probably going to be by the end of this month. And after the first draft comes out, we are going to share it with the community for feedback. The target, we had talked about the target audience, and originally we had thought maybe C-level and then maybe architect developer level. We talked about having maybe 2 versions. But from what I understand, Lars, he's more of a technical person. So the first, I guess, version of the document is going to be for developers and architects. So it's going to be a bit more technical in nature. And that's what's going to come out, as a draft at the end of this month that we'll share with the community for feedback. The goal is to have something ready by mid to late May. We're shooting for that. So let's see. There is a request for making updates. Oh, one more thing about this white paper. So originally we had thought he was going to charge for it, and I was talking to. We had our meeting yesterday, and the Eclipse Foundation mentioned that he was planning on doing this work for pro bono. But I believe the idea is that he would have his name as the author of the MicroProfile white paper, and so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is okay with the community or not. I was gonna put that on the table for you guys to find out what your thoughts were. So I guess we can pay him, and then the white paper would just be from the community, or I guess he would do pro bono, and then his name would be as the author of the paper, the white paper. Any thoughts?
Well, if his name's on it, it's still going to appear as if it's coming from the MicroProfile community, correct?
Right, right.
Just being the perception would be he's part of the community.
Yep.
Right, right.
That doesn't sound terrible.
So, no, I mean, to me, either way is fine. So.
Hello, everyone. Sorry I cannot join today. Coming back from holidays. Anyway, so Lars is awesome, and I believe that it's fantastic. He wants to do pro bono because that was the original thought during the private talks. So there is no issue with his name being added as the only one writing the document. Still, he's one of the best writers. Unbiased to the core. There's no other writing like him. So trust me on this. We do want him to own the paper, and that will make it even less biased. It's preferable than being paid. This is why he's choosing to do so, even though this is a person that does training, has his own company. Trust me on this. This is the best person. Yeah. We're selling this document in a manner that he wants to do it, so it's less biased. Like, just trust what he says. Let's go for it. But we do want to see. 2 weeks ago, Stephanie said she will. That Lars was on vacation. When he came back, he will give us the skeleton. We have not seen the skeleton he wrote. We have only seen what we marketing, like I think you and Stephanie worked on something. I have seen the document and added comments, but we're still waiting for the skeleton of Lars that can be given to the community, not this team, but the community via forum. Do we have the document yet?
No, the first draft is going to be ready by the end of the
not draft, the skeleton of the document we're writing.
Right. But the opening question was, does anybody have a problem with not paying him money? Right. So let's wrap that one up before we move on to five other topics. Yeah. I don't have a problem with it. And Kevin, I didn't know, maybe you could take your name off of the MicroProfile spec and get a raise. I didn't know this is an option. Just simply take our names off of the things that we work on and get extra money. Yep. Well, I would seriously consider that.
Okay. So here, how many of you do we have in this call? 7. You know, I think this is great. This shows less unbiased with I would be very pushy on this. Lars is someone that we trust completely. He's the one person hired by Java 1 to be the writer for Java 1 in the major conferences. There's no other person that would do a good job and be unbiased.
Right.
So
great.
Very good.
Let's make room for some more opinions.
Yeah.
Very good. I just wanted to put that question to you guys. That's all, and thank you for the feedback.
So, I mean, definitely, Amelia knows this person well. I don't know him personally. I've read some of his articles, but anyone else have any input?
Yes, I know him since 10 years or so. Have done many conference talks with him. He's a great person and a great author.
Okay.
And how do you correctly pronounce his last name, Mark?
Lars Röwekamp.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't have the German accent.
He's
half
very Finnish, half German, so.
If someone can correct the spelling in the minutes, I would appreciate it. I just tacked something.
By the way, Mark, I see you're wearing the Tommy Tribe hoodie. I love it.
Oh, yeah. Proud.
All right, so let's see. So the next thing, so that's in the is cooking. Let's see. Okay, so there are some changes for the request, a change request for the MicroProfile IO website, adding a resources tab. And Ryan has put together a document with kind of like a mock-up of what it would look like. And we're scheduled to review that next call. And also next call, we're going to be talking about, we're going to do a sync up of specific activities, marketing activities for 2018.
So sorry, I got the thread of MicroProfile IO. I already moved the thread to the forum. There are no private projects in MicroProfile marketing. I already asked 2 months ago for feedback.
I'm not sure. What do you mean by
MicroProfile IO?
What do you mean by
that? So we're leading back to creating a skeleton for MicroProfile IO. And as soon as the community has seen it, we will start the changes. I think in about 1 or 2 weeks, give the community. I did not give a deadline on review for changes because I missed yesterday's marketing call. But we will need the community feedback before we start. The changes are just features, new features. But let me stop here. You did not answer my question. Before Lars start writing the first draft, I have not seen the skeleton about the draft. We do not want him to waste his time. I was told that he will be back in 2 weeks, and we will get a revised skeleton from what MicroProfile team wrote that will be revised by the community.
Right. So the answer to your question is yesterday we had the marketing call that you missed, and in there what was informed to me by the Eclipse Foundation was that I just reported today on this call, which is by the end of the month, Lars is going to have a draft to show us, not the outline. So that's what I was told yesterday because I was busy the last 2 weeks and I missed the last meeting.
Okay, so we're working totally in blind here, and that is not what we do. This is just feedback on action. Stephanie said she will share the draft. Lars doesn't write anything without a draft. So if he's using the draft that was created by marketing team, we need to know.
You mean he doesn't write anything without a...
Yeah, we have on the line we created, but Stephanie said, quote, via Slack marketing, which is private, that Lars will review it and get back his comments before he starts writing. We are still waiting for his comments. I have not seen them. The document is open in MicroProfile, Google Drive. No writing should start without feedback from the community, especially this team, because otherwise we will waste Lars' time. He's not even getting paid. He needs direction by the technical team also. He's running his community, so I do not want to waste his time, especially because I know he's effective when he starts writing. He's a machine.
Right.
So what are we going to do? Because I missed last week. Can you follow up with Stephanie?
Well,
I just talked to her yesterday. I'm telling you what she told me. Yeah.
Okay, let me take care of this. I will contact openly Stephanie.
When does Lars get back from vacation?
2 weeks, she said.
That was today, actually.
4/2/18. He's on vacation. Yeah, I'm not sure. ETA, she says 4/2/18. So I don't know if he's back yesterday or starting vacation yesterday.
Okay.
I will open a public forum, ask Stephanie and Lars if we have read, and I will add the link, and I will ask, because Stephanie is leading this project, because the project is being led by MicroProfile to make it, by Eclipse, to make it unbiased. I will CC Lars, and I will ask both, have we done a review on this? The community, we want to know.
Okay, can you stop talking just a second there? My only feedback would be, if it's going to be like any other specifications or any other material we kick out, it gets worked on openly.
Yeah.
That would be long and short of that. So the discussion should hit the list at some point. So should his outline, and accept feedback just like the rest of us.
Yes, I will open that thread and on the communication to bring it openly. For the feedback. I'm glad you joined the call, and I have not read the minutes. The minutes come in, so I have no idea what.
The outline is public.
Okay.
I know.
Everything is public. Yeah.
Cool.
So the outline has gone to the mailing list for some sort of feedback.
Yes, in the minutes of the marketing. I guess it must be in the minutes.
Yeah. So minutes are not effective for everything, right? So for me, when I get an email that says MicroProfile and the date as the subject, and there's something important like at the bottom of that, I am absolutely guaranteed to miss that.
Who sent the minutes?
No, it's not a matter of minutes. It's just like something should be their own email. So if we actually want engagement from the rest of the tech people on what's there to make sure that their specifications are covered with justice. Like for example, I don't know, Mark, did you see the outline and give your input on it from a config perspective?
Not yet. I know other or German language articles from Lars, and
but I mean on the outline for the white paper, right? So the only way you would have known that is to be reading every single minutes from all the marketing stuff,
and that would never happen.
Call to action. Realize that meant stop talking over the top of me.
The marketing minutes are sent to the forum.
Stop.
Yeah, but I'm reading marketing. I'm technical guy, so I don't read marketing.
It's inherently biased. It's inherently biased to not get feedback from technical people. So if we actually do want the feedback from the technical people, it needs to be advertised as something that they're interested in.
Correct.
So
or
maybe
ping people directly.
Yeah.
Well, or shoot an email off and then ping people directly just to get the feedback.
Yeah.
Send the minutes to the forum.
The outline, guys, the outline is super generic.
Yeah, well, that maybe
4 bullets. And part of the idea was obviously for Lars, he was going to interview the technical leaders of each of the sub-projects.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not doing anything in private or behind the curtains or whatever. Everything is being done publicly. And I just pasted the link. If you look at the outline, has 4 bullets. It's very high level. Yeah. And, Lars will determine what the specific content will be and, a more specific outline.
Right.
So my task is going to be, I am going to send in the next 10 minutes. I will make the time to send a note to Stephanie and Lars. I will CC, because the minutes from yesterday marketing call got sent to the forum and the marketing forum, the both emails yet or not yet?
Yeah, they did.
Excellent. I will use those minutes. I will review them, and then I will CC Stephanie and Lars, and then CC MicroProfile, and ask for updates on what was adjusted, because the outline created is too generic. It needs to be more specific so that we help Lars do a fantastic job without he having to do so much.
And I think that's what Lars said to Stephanie. Stephanie said that to me yesterday. We're waiting for him to get back with a draft of what he plans to write.
Yeah, and then I also said that we need to introduce Lars. His team, the technical team, needs to introduce Lars quickly and openly via the forum to every technical lead that is active in the 8 projects. And that is something that we will do in the open. So
Lars could introduce himself, right?
I know he can introduce, but no one knows that he's going to write this. He was on vacation, so the thread has not started on. This is a person who will write this at his Twitter handle because he's freaking awesome.
Right.
And then do that. I will do the introduction and this level, and then follow up in the open.
Okay.
Thank you, Cesar. I have to go this way.
Bye.
Yep, I appreciate that. Anyway, anybody who's volunteering should just go ahead and announce themselves on the mailing list. They don't necessarily need to wait to get somebody else to volunteer them.
Yep.
Announce them. Hi, my name is Lars. I'm volunteering to write the MicroProfile white paper. Here are some initial thoughts that I have. Everybody, what do you think?
I will contact Lars.
Pretty standard opening move in open source.
Yep.
Right.
I am going to contact Lars over text because we have phones, and say, do your own tag, because that is what I do.
Sure, just introduce himself. I'm Lars. I'm volunteering to write the white paper. Here's some initial thoughts I have. What do you think?
But this is what I'm saying.
Pretty standard.
This is what I'm saying I'm going to do. But also, I don't want to leave Stephanie out of the loop.
She's not out of the loop. It's on a public list. Everybody's in the loop.
I know, but when Lars reply, he doesn't know how to reply at the level of CC marketing, CC the forum, is in, don't CC individuals.
Well, you can guide him through that
so
process.
I'm going to do that. This is what I'm saying. I am going to talk with him over email or text really quickly and get this done today. Kisses, everyone. And good to see you, everyone. Miss you, Mark and Audrey.
So 2 quick things. So the next thing was going to be the resources tab, which we're going to review next week, as well as what are the marketing plans or goals for this year. With respect to the making changes to the MicroProfile IO site, I need volunteers. I'm not sure if you, David, Atomic Tribe, can dedicate or offer some resources there to update, to add that resources tab.
So here's my thought on this. I don't want to just do it and have it be done and then the itch is scratched and no one besides us learns how to maintain the site. I would almost prefer there to be at least one other volunteer from the community, and they work next to like Tiago, who would do the actual rollout of the stuff. So that at least somebody else
right
more familiar. Is there anybody on the Red Hat side who you could push into this position?
I will try to do that.
Thank you. That would be so great. We just need like one other person who is either by force or by will.
Besides me, okay. Besides
Yeah.
me, because
Yeah.
like all of you, I'm super busy. So
yeah, somebody who they would need basic CSS skills and a little bit of back-end coding.
okay.
I mean, it's kind of a weird skill set to get, but anyway, if there's somebody you can find on your side who can pair up with somebody on our side, I think we can get it done and have some hope that it's starting to, the information is starting to disseminate.
Very good. That's all I had. Thank you.
And I guess, Kevin, same for your side. If there's somebody on the IBM side you could obligate to be a little bit interested in infrastructure, that would be...
That sure sounded open-ended.
Well, it's specifically helping to maintain the site.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's someone on your side you could just force into that role, that would be...
May I have a comment on the sites?
Yep.
Just some feedbacks. I often see some questions from people, either on mailing list or in other channels, where people ask where is the source of the site or how to edit the site. I'm not sure if there is something on Wiki, but we should make this transparent and document the process, because the site is outside of the Eclipse repositories, so it's hard to figure out how to contribute to the site. So do you know if there is some documentation about this on Wiki or anywhere else?
So there's that. That's the project. And there's 1,400 words there of documentation. I can't say that it's perfect, but I think for it to go much further, people have to start reading and get confused and go, I didn't understand this part.
Yep, exactly.
So that's the next stage of this, right? Is someone who isn't the person who wrote the documentation to go, these are the parts you didn't explain to me that I don't understand. So it just needs like a handoff.
I mean, those instructions are pretty self-explanatory. It was pretty easy to add the Oracle logo. But again, once everything is merged, there is an extra step that is now documented on how to push that change live to Amazon.
Yeah, and we'll have to document that. I mean, there's like, I think it's been a while. I kicked off that whole infrastructure thread.
And I don't think for Red Hat, I think it's John Klingon, right? The one that you gave rights for.
Yeah, but I think we set ourselves up for failure in picking people who don't actually have time to do the work.
Right.
So I think we need to get different names in there who are actually, who actually have the ability to, when the call of duty is there, to make these things happen. So
yep, I agree. Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I did put that into the minutes, David, that each of us need to kind of look at, okay, who can we volunteer, or who can we find from each of the main participants to target this activity? Because I think before saying that we're going to, just be generically, everyone's going to be doing it, I think it's just a little too specific of a process to do it that way.
Yeah.
We just targeted it, So I'll try and find someone here with an IBM. We are constantly, people are asking, how can I get more more active with the MicroProfile community? Okay, here's your chance. So,
this is a definite major one. I mean, we could be doing a ton more with the website.
Yes, I know.
Just speaking, for example, I know in terms of our resources, like Ryan, he can draft up pages. If you give him the content, he can lay it out in lightning fast time, and it always looks great. The time it takes to implement that, now that's a different thing. So if we had more people on that side, I think it could go a lot better.
Okay.
We could grow the site significantly, I'm fairly certain. So.
Okay. Okay. Any other topics? Andro, I know you got on late. Any hot item that you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, one thing, I don't know if we discussed, I saw in the minutes that you discussed MicroProfile 1.4, but have you touched MicroProfile 2.0?
No, good, good lead in there. That's actually something that I was just going back through all of that discussion that we had in the forum and come up with, okay, here's a proposal for MicroProfile 2.0 and start moving on that, because the MicroProfile 1.4, so that didn't get completed in the first quarter like what we had hoped. So that's kind of moving into second quarter, and it's like I don't want to wait until 1.4 is completely done. So I want to kick off a 2.0 effort and just get that started so that we can start to support Java EE8. So I was hoping to get that done before today's meeting, and I didn't get it done.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we're on the same page.
Okay.
I also imagine that this will be just like any other activities, just somebody should lead the effort. I'm not saying who, but I think it should have the same structure. Like with all the other proposals, there is usually one or two leading people. So I hope we can find somebody by our side to contribute, but I'm not sure if we can lead this activity.
Okay. I am more than interested in continuing that, but getting help is always worthwhile. So I'll kick off and either I'll reuse the current thread or I'll kick off a new thread to get going on the MicroProfile 2.0 content. And if someone pipes in that they want to help out, that would be great.
Yeah, good. Apart from that, just coming back to one question to 1.4, since I missed the discussion. Are we still targeting the proposed date? Nothing's changed.
Yeah,
because I'm not sure if we have enough things that can be released now soon enough to be ready for the 8th May.
Right. And that's what we talked about before you came on. And so John's not here to defend himself. And so we did talk about that exact same thing, is do we have enough content, and would that content be complete enough in order to be included in MicroProfile 1.4? And the only one that we really talked about was the metric stuff. Ken filled in a little bit before he had to leave on Heiko's goals for getting that done. And then the JWT stuff, it sounds like there may be some work going on there, but not enough people are involved in it yet to really know the content of it. So yeah, the content for a MicroProfile 1.4 release right now seems a little light.
Yeah, what I would like to propose is now it's roughly 4 weeks until 8th of May, 4 or 5 weeks. So maybe next Hangout in 2 weeks, what I want to suggest is only the specifications that will have released an RC by the next Hangout should be considered in MicroProfile 1.4. And if it's not enough, then maybe move the date a little bit. But if it's enough, just release it and and jump on another train.
Yep.
So if you can make that official, I don't know if everybody agrees, but if we have this agreement, I would announce on the Google group on the mailing list that this is the deadline, that at least a release candidate, if not a final version, should be released in 2 weeks. And if it doesn't happen for a specification, it shouldn't be considered for MicroProfile 1.4.
Andre, we could need your input for the config stuff. Then we might get the new config feature, the dynamic config, ready.
Yeah,
That would be a big point.
Now I'd like to. I plan to find some more time for MicroProfile and review the configs things, and I also wanted to implement the API. Add some new things in the fault tolerance API, but I'm not sure if that I can meet these 2 weeks deadline. But mentioning fault tolerance, I think last time we discussed with Emily and the team, there is already some things that we can release. So if we need to release a release candidate, we can anytime. We just decided to wait for some features and give us some time for some features to implement, and then we will release a candidate in 1 or 2 weeks. So fault tolerance should be ready for MicroProfile 1.4. If it's necessary, we would reduce the scope, but there are already some things, not major things, but already some things in fault tolerance pending for a release.
Okay, so Andro, in the meeting minutes, I kind of mentioned that you were gonna kind of take, I'll say, the lead, or to help kind of drive that effort to identifying the dates for the 1.4 cutoff, so that people that are doing the components kind of know, okay, we got to have something ready by whatever. I don't know, maybe April 13th or 20th in order to be ready.
I would say before the next Hangout, because then we can analyze what's ready,
okay,
and plan for the MicroProfile release.
Okay.
Because then the Hangout afterwards is like end of April, and it's very close to 8th of May, so it would be too late.
Right. At least then we would have a better idea on the content by then.
Yeah. I would just start a thread discussing this, and at the end of the thread we would just conclude with the deadline. But this is what I currently suggest.
Okay.
So before we adjourn, I was looking at what you guys were talking. I was looking at the merge for to add the hammock logo to the site, and it looks fine to me. I can go ahead and do the merge. Is that going to hurt you, James? If I do the hammock merge right now?
It'll create a conflict, but I'll just rebase and solve it. So as soon as you merge that, I'll update my pull request.
All right. So I just merged. I just did it. So David, can you take care of the Amazon part?
I've been a while since I ran that command, so it would be Iago or something.
Do it now. No. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll all watch you do it, David.
It's kill all -9.
Great. Yeah. Oh, God.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Any other last comments? Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.